Outside a tech firm in Taipei's Xinyi district, 28-year-old engineer Zhao Chan holds his phone tightly right after getting off work. On the screen are his monthly income and expense details. He earns a monthly salary of 35,000 new Taiwan dollars NTD, after deducting 12,000 NTD for rent, 3,000 NTD for commuting, 6,000 NTD for meals. Plus social outlays and miscellaneous expenses, he's left with less than 2,000 NTD at the end of each month. This has been his routine for 5 years on the job. He doesn't even have enough emergency savings to handle unexpected costs, let alone a 6-figure nest egg. What worries him more is that peers like him who don't earn a low salary but spend every penny are quite common. Many have tried stock trading and fund investing, but most end up losing more. Disturbing data comes from the 2025 Youth Financial Status Survey report recently released by Taiwan's Directorate General of Budget, Accounting and Statistics. The average savings rate for Taiwanese youth under 30 is just 2.1%, down 7.3 percentage points from 2015, while the debt ratio has risen to 19.2%. Among respondents, 82.3% explicitly stated they feel overwhelmed by financial pressure. You're probably wondering, why can't you save money with a 30,000 NTD monthly salary? Why do you end up losing more despite trying hard to invest? Why are goals like buying a house and getting married getting further and further away? Behind these questions lingering in young Taiwanese people's minds are not only gaps in personal financial management awareness but also the profound impact of the market environment and social structure. Today, we'll dive into the world of holistic balanced financial management and hear from Principal Zhou, who has 30 years of experience in investment education and has worked at the forefront of Taiwan's financial market, and young Taiwanese who've learned painful investment lessons as they explain the core logic for ordinary people to break free from financial anxiety. When it comes to managing money, a lot of people immediately think of getting rich quick and doubling their money. Open local Taiwanese social platforms like Dcard and PTT, and you'll see tempting posts everywhere, things like earn 1 million NTDA month from virtual currency and triple your assets in a year through stock trading, coupled with occasional rumors around them that someone achieved financial freedom through investing. Many young people eager to escape financial hardship can't help but jump into the investment market, but reality often dashes their hopes. Zhao Shi, who learned a hard lesson from investing, recalled, back in 2021, she ignored Principal Zhou's advice and followed the trend to buy popular semiconductor concept stocks. As a result, she lost 40% of her investment in less than 6 months. Every stock I researched thoroughly and invested heavily in ended up losing money. It even threw off my regular routine. Taiwan's Economic Daily also ran a special report in 2024 about a 28-year-old office worker in Taipei. After seeing stories of people getting rich from virtual currency, he quit his stable 40,000 NTD monthly salary job to trade virtual currency full-time. He made a small profit by luck at first, then became even more aggressive. He not only put in all his savings but also borrowed money from relatives and friends to leverage his investments. Unfortunately, in just half a year, a sharp drop in virtual currency prices wiped out all his funds, leaving him with nearly 2 million NTD in debt. In the end, he had to take multiple part-time jobs to pay it off. Even more shocking data comes from the Individual Investor Trading Behavior Analysis report released by the Taiwan Stock Exchange in the first half of 2025. Nearly 70% of individual investors in Taiwan lost money trading over the past year. And among frequent traders, the loss rate was as high as 83%, with an average loss of 186,000 NTD. What's more, young people under 30 make up 65.7% of these frequent traders. Most notably, the report also shows that 72.4% of young investors' decisions are influenced by social media information, and over 60% jump into the market blindly based on netizen recommendations and viral topics without doing any professional research beforehand. Why has investing, something that seems low threshold, become a loss trap for ordinary people? Principal Zhou put it bluntly, investing is an extremely professional field. It's never just a matter of opening an account and making money. There's an insurmountable gap in resources and knowledge between professional investors and ordinary folks. This gap can't be easily closed with just hard work on research. The resource allocation between these two groups makes this crystal clear. Professional fund managers and financial institution traders have a support system that ordinary people can only dream of. The Bloomberg terminal they use costs 600,000 to 1.2 million NTD a year to subscribe to. It syncs real-time global financial market data, industry research reports, and policy updates, and can even pull up key information with a single click like a listed company's financial statements, supply chain data, and senior management changes over the past decade. When it comes to trading tools, they rely on institutional proprietary quantitative models that can complete market volatility analysis, risk assessment, and trading decisions in milliseconds. Developing such models often costs tens of millions of NTD, and they require a professional technical team for ongoing maintenance and optimization, resources that ordinary people can never access. More importantly, their research capabilities are beyond what individuals can match. Taking a large Taiwanese fund company's research on a listed electronics manufacturing firm as an example, Principal Zhou said the team would draw up a detailed research plan a month in advance. During the research phase, they'd split into 3 groups. One group would meet with the company's management to gain in-depth insight into its 3 to 5-year strategic plans, capacity expansion goals, and R&D investment directions. Another group would go straight to the production line to observe capacity utilization,
technical processes, and employee working conditions. They'd even randomly sample products for quality checks.
A 2024 Youth Financial Literacy Survey by Taiwan's Financial Supervisory Commission found that only 18.3% of young people under 30 can accurately interpret key balance sheet indicators, and over 60% don't understand basic terms like price-earnings ratio and price-to-book ratio, yet they still dare to make heavy stock investments. Beyond lacking professional resources, ordinary investors are also easily swayed by emotions, falling into the trap of chasing gains and selling losses. A 12-month tracking study of 2,000 Taiwanese individual investors conducted by National Taiwan University's Department of Finance during the 2023 to 2024 academic year found that these investors often buy when the market rises and sell in panic when it falls. The average holding period for a stock is less than 3 months, and for young investors under 30, it's even shorter, just 1.8 months with an average of 52 trades a year. Some aggressive young investors trade more than 10 times a month. Such frequent trading first faces the erosion of transaction costs. Taiwan's stock transaction tax is 3, and securities firm commissions are around 1.425, totaling about 4.425 per transaction. That's not even counting hidden costs like account management fees and settlement fees charged by some securities firms. Trading 52 times a year means explicit transaction costs alone reach 22.995%. What does that mean? Even if the market's annual return hits 12%, investors first need to earn 35% just to cover costs. But according to Taiwan Stock Exchange data, the Taiwan Weighted Index has only averaged a 10.3% annual return over the past 20 years, dropping to 8.7% over the past decade. What's more, few professional fund managers can achieve a 20% annual return. 2024 data from Taiwan's Securities Investment Trust and Consulting Association shows that only 3.2% of actively managed equity funds in Taiwan have delivered annual returns exceeding 20% over the past 5 years. For ordinary people, achieving a 35% annual return is basically a pipe dream. Besides transaction costs, ordinary investors' emotional decisions can also lead to heavy losses. For example, in 2023, the Taiwan Weighted Index saw a phased decline due to fluctuations in the global semiconductor industry. During that period, over 40% of young investors sold in panic, only for the index to rebound 15% in the following 3 months. These investors not only lost principal but also missed out on the rebound. Professor Lin Jikyang from National Taiwan University's Department of Finance explained the study's findings. Young investors often see investing as a speculative game. They lack long-term planning, are easily influenced by short-term market swings, and when combined with transaction costs, losses become inevitable. In stark contrast to the usual losses from active trading is the steady performance of passive investing. Principal Zhou repeatedly recommends Taiwan's 005 ETF, officially known as the Yuanta Taiwan 50 ETF. Launched in 2003, it tracks the top 50 constituent stocks of the Taiwan Weighted Index, covering key Taiwanese industries like electronics, finance, chemicals, and manufacturing. Its holdings include major Taiwanese companies such as TSMC, Hunhai, Formosa Plastics, and Cathay Financial Holdings, most of which have stable profitability and strong risk resistance. According to end 2024 data from Yuanta Investment Trust, as of December 31, 2024, the 005 ETF has delivered an annualized return of 12.3% since its launch. Over that period, it's weathered multiple major market downturns including the 2008 global financial crisis, 2011 European debt crisis, 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, and 2022 global inflation, yet its long-term trend has been upward. What's more, its transaction costs are extremely low. Aside from small commissions and transaction taxes when buying or selling, the management fee is only 0.3%, far lower than the 1.5% average for actively managed funds. Plus, investors don't need to actively pick stocks or trade frequently. Just holding long-term lets them share in the growth dividends of high-quality Taiwanese companies. Yuanta Investment Trust's 005 ETF investor structure analysis shows that as of the end of 2024, the 005 ETF's assets under management exceeded 620 billion NTD, up 24% from 2023 with over 1.3 million holding accounts. Notably, the share of investors under 30 has risen from 18% in 2020 to 32.5% in 2024. As more young people recognize the stability of passive investing. Beyond the 0050 ETF, other passive index funds in Taiwan's market have also performed steadily. For instance, the 0051 ETF, which tracks the Taiwan Mid-Cap 100 Index, has an annualized return of 10.8% since its 2007 launch. The 0056 ETF, which tracks the Taiwan High Dividend Index, has an annualized return of 9.7% and a stable annual dividend yield between 4% and 5%, making it a popular regular investment choice for young people. A 2024 Financial Supervisory Commission survey found that 89.2% of investors who held passive index funds for more than 3 years made a profit, with an average annualized return of 10.5%, far higher than that of active traders. Principal Zhou noted, "A lot of young people think you need a lot of money to manage your finances. But that's a misconception. The small sum, long-term investment cases he shares are backed by the power of compound interest." Let's break this down with specific data and scenarios. Imagine a 22-year-old recent Taiwanese graduate who invests 4,000 NTD monthly on a regular basis and adds an extra 20,000 NTD with their year-end bonus based on the fact that Taiwanese companies typically give 1 to 2 months' salary as year-end bonuses. That's a total annual investment of 68,000 NTD. Calculated at the 005F's 12.3% annualized return over the past 20 years. With dividends reinvested, the trajectory of wealth growth becomes clear. By the end of age 22, principal 68,000 NTD, profit 8,364 NTD, total assets 76,364 NTD. At 23, still investing 4,000 NTD monthly plus 20,000 NTD year-end, totaling 68,000 NTD in new investments. Adding the 9,393 NTD profit from the previous year's 76,360 for NTD in assets. Total assets reach 153,757 NTD by year-end. By 25, total assets exceed 300,000 NTD. By 30, total assets hit 865,000 NTD, successfully reaching six-figure savings. By 40, over 4.2 million NTD. By 50, surpassing 18 million NTD. By age 65 at retirement, total assets could reach 126 million NTD. This isn't a random calculation, it's a practical deduction based on the compound interest formula, using realistic annualized returns from the 005F over the past 20 years. What's more, young Taiwanese people's salaries typically increase with work experience and improved professional skills, so regular investment amounts can also grow gradually. For example, if monthly salary rises from 30,000 NTD right after graduation to 40,000 NTD at age 25, increasing monthly regular investments from 4,000 NTD to 6,000 NTD and year-end additional investments to 30,000 NTD total annual investment, 102,000 NTD. Total assets can reach 1.38 million NTD by 30 and over 7.5 million NTD by 40, accelerating wealth accumulation. Principal Zhou emphasized, the core of compound interest is time plus consistent investment. Young people's biggest advantage is time. Even investing just a few thousand NTD a month, sticking with it can build considerable wealth over time. On top of that, if young people steadily increase their investment amounts annually in line with salary growth, the power of compound interest becomes even more remarkable. Starting at age 22 with 4,000 NTD monthly regular investments and 20,000 NTD year-end additional investments, then increasing annual regular investment amounts by 10%, roughly matching the average annual salary increase for young Taiwanese at the same 12.3% annualized return. Wealth growth becomes steeper. End of 23, 165,000 NTD, 24, 258,000 NTD, 25, 375,000 NTD, 26, 522,000 NTD, 27, 705,000 NTD, 28, 932,000 NTD, 29, 1.211 million NTD by 30. Total assets exceed 1.55 million NTD, far higher than the average savings of young Taiwanese at 30. By 35, total assets exceed 4.8 million NTD, enough for a down payment on an average home in cities like Kaohsiung and Taichung. By 40, over 15 million NTD. By 50, surpassing 86 million NTD. By 65, at retirement, total assets could reach 820 million NTD. This figure may seem unattainable to many young Taiwanese, but it can be achieved step by step through the simple method of regular fixed investments plus gradual increases plus long-term holding plus dividend reinvestment. Behind this is the investment philosophy long advocated by Buffett. Don't try to predict the market, embrace it. Don't chase get-rich-quick schemes, enjoy the power of times compound interest. Buffett himself is a devout practitioner of compound interest. He started investing at 11, and 99% of his wealth was accumulated after age 50. Core to this is sticking with stable investments long term. There are also many ordinary investors in Taiwan's market practicing this logic. For example, among the 005F long-term holding models, recognized by Yuanta Investment Trust in 2024 was a 60-year-old retiree who's made monthly 3,000 NTD regular investments in the 0050 ETF since 2005 without interruption for 19 years. As of the end of 2024, his total assets reached 12.8 million NTD, far exceeding his pre-retirement salary savings. Sharing his experience, he said, "I don't understand complex investment strategies. I just stuck to monthly regular investments. Didn't sell blindly when the market went up or down and reinvested all dividends. I never thought time could truly create wealth." The core of holistic balanced financial management goes far beyond investing itself. Principal Zhou emphasized, the purpose of managing finances is never to make unlimited money, but to achieve a balanced and fulfilling life through reasonable planning. That means health, work, and family are all indispensable parts of financial management, with health as the cornerstone. Without health, all wealth accumulation could be wiped out. According to the 2024 Taiwan Major Disease Medical Expense Statistics Report from Taiwan's Ministry of Health and Welfare, the average medical cost for major illnesses in Taiwan in 2023 was as high as 2.15 million NTD. Cancer treatment costs generally exceed 3.2 million NTD. And for severe illnesses like leukemia and lung cancer, treatment costs can even top 5 million NTD. If young people neglect their health, staying up late regularly, overeating, and lacking exercise, contracting a major illness could not only cut off their income but also drain years of savings and even leave them in debt. Data from Taiwan's Ministry of Health and Welfare shows that 68.3% of young Taiwanese under 30 regularly stay up late, i.e., going to bed after 1 a.m., over 40% exercise less than once a week, and the obesity rate reaches 25.7%. These bad habits can increase the risk of major illnesses by 3 to 5 times. More alarmingly, 2024 data from Taiwan's cancer registry shows that the incidence of cancer among 30 to 40-year-olds has risen by 23.5%, compared to a decade ago, showing a clear trend of younger onset. Therefore, maintaining a regular schedule, exercising consistently, and eating a balanced diet not only improve quality of life but are also basic steps in holistic balanced financial management. Additionally, having basic medical insurance and critical illness insurance is crucial. While Taiwan's national health insurance covers part of medical expenses, its coverage for out-of-pocket items and imported drugs for major illnesses is limited, with an average reimbursement rate of only 62%. A 2024 survey by Taiwan's Insurance Development Institute found that families with commercial medical and critical illness insurance face a medical expense burden rate of only 28% when dealing with major illnesses, far lower than the 76% burden rate for uninsured families. Principal Zhou advised young people, as soon as you graduate and start working, you should get basic medical insurance and gradually add critical illness insurance as your income grows. Premiums should be kept at 5% to 8% of your monthly income. This provides adequate protection without putting too much strain on your daily life. Second, work. For most people, a stable and growing income is the lifeblood of financial management. Without stable income, any financial plan falls apart. The 2024 Taiwan Workplace Salary Trend Report from Taiwan's 100 for Job Bank shows that professionals with technical certifications have a 30% higher salary growth rate than ordinary employees, and their average annual salary is 186,000 NTD higher than that of uncertified employees. For example, in the financial industry, the CFA Chartered Financial Analyst certification holders have an average annual salary of 1.2 million NTD, 52% higher than non-holders. In the tech industry, the PMP Project Management Professional Certification can boost salaries by 45%, with an average annual salary of 1.05 million NTD. Relevant technical certifications in the semiconductor industry also offer salary increases of over 38%. 202 for data from Taiwan's Ministry of Economic Affairs shows that emerging industries in Taiwan such as semiconductors, fintech, and new energy have developed rapidly in recent years, with strong demand for professional and technical talent. Salaries in these industries are 20% to 50% higher than in traditional industries, with greater promotion prospects. Principal Zhou advised young people, instead of spending a lot of time researching investments you're not familiar with, focus on improving your professional skills to grow your income steadily. Increasing your income is expanding revenue sources, the foundation of financial management. Only when you've solidified this foundation can cutting expenses and investing be truly effective. Take a newly graduated semiconductor engineer as an example, starting with a 40,000 NTD monthly salary. After 3 years of accumulating experience and obtaining relevant professional certifications, their monthly salary could rise to 80,000 NTD. The additional 480,000 NTD annually, invested at a 12% annualized return, could accumulate to 6.8 million NTD in 10 years, far more stable and substantial than income from blind stock trading. Beyond improving professional skills, young people can also boost their income with side hustles, though they must ensure these don't interfere with their main job. A 100 for Job Bank survey shows that 35% of young Taiwanese have side hustles. Among these, skill-based side gigs like design, programming, and translation have an average monthly income of 12,000 NTD and are relatively stable. These side hustles not only increase income but also enhance professional skills, making them an ideal way to expand revenue sources. Family is the emotional anchor of financial management and one of its key goals. Many young people neglect family time in pursuit of wealth, and even conflict with family members due to financial pressure, contradicting the original purpose of financial management. Principal Zhou believes financial plans should take family needs into account. For example, expenses for marriage, Raising children and supporting elderly parents all need advanced planning. But this doesn't mean sacrificing quality of life. Rather, it's about making family life more secure while balancing income and expenses. The 2024 Taiwan Youth Marriage and Family Expense Statistics from Taiwan's Ministry of the Interior shows that the average marriage cost for young Taiwanese is 850,000 NTD, with wedding banquets, dresses, and diamond rings accounting for 62%. Raising children is even more costly, from birth to 18. The average cost per child is 12 million NTD, with education expenses making up 45%. Supporting elderly parents costs an average of 8,000 NTD monthly, mainly for medical care and daily living expenses. These family expenses require advanced planning to avoid anxiety from sudden funding shortages. But planning family expenses doesn't mean being overly frugal. For example, setting aside 5,000 NTD monthly for family activities like a weekly family dinner or a quarterly short trip. The happiness from these expenses is invaluable, and a harmonious family atmosphere also provides more motivation and confidence in financial management. Principal Zhou shared a case. A young couple sets aside 5,000 NTD monthly for shared family expenses and makes 8,000 NTD monthly regular investments for marriage and home down payment savings. This not only ensures quality family life but also doesn't hinder wealth accumulation. After 3 years, they not only got married smoothly but also saved enough for a down payment. He emphasized, financial management isn't about turning you into a miser. It's about making money work for family happiness through reasonable planning. Additionally, financial communication within the family is crucial. Many couples conflict over financial issues, often due to a lack of effective communication. It's recommended that young couples regularly discuss their financial situation and jointly set financial goals to avoid one party making blind investments or overspending. In Taiwan's current society, voices claiming young people can't afford houses and all opportunities are taken by the older generation are prevalent. These negative emotions trap many young people in anxiety, even making them give up on financial planning. But is this really the case? Let's let the data speak. When it comes to housing prices, while Taipei's average is high, 2024 data from Taiwan's real estate transaction center shows the average housing price in Taipei's core areas is 750,000 NTD per ping. Taiwan isn't just Taipei. Second-tier cities like Kaohsiung and Taichung have average housing prices of 220,000 to 350,000 NTD per ping, and third-tier cities like Pingting and Chiayi are as low as 120,000 to 200,000 NTD per ping. For young people who save for a down payment through regular fixed investments, homeownership is achievable. Take an average 60 ping home in Kaohsiung at 250,000 NTD per ping. The total price is about 15 million NTD, with a 30% down payment of 4.5 million NTD. Based on our earlier calculation, starting 4,000 NTD monthly regular investments and 20,000 NTD year-end additional investments at age 20 to 12.3% annualized return, you could accumulate 865,000 NTD by 30. With a 10% annual increase in regular investments, total assets could exceed 1.55 million NTD by 30. Adding 8 years of salary savings and year-end bonuses, accumulating 4.5 million NTD for a down payment before 35 is completely feasible. Moreover, mortgage interest rates in Kaohsiung are relatively low. Bank of Taiwan's 2024 mortgage rates range from 1.8% to 2.5%. Borrowing 10.5 million NTD over 30 years with equal principal and interest repayments would result in a monthly mortgage payment of about 38,000 NTD. For 35-year-olds with a stable monthly salary of 80,000 to 100,000 NTD, this mortgage payment accounts for only 38% to 47% of their monthly income. Manageable pressure. Beyond second and third-tier cities, suburban areas around Taipei are also relatively affordable. For example, New Taipei City, part of the Taipei metropolitan area, has an average housing price of 450,000 NTD per PNG. A 60 ping home costs about 27 million NTD, with an 8.1 million NTD down payment. Through long-term regular investments and salary growth, accumulating this down payment before 40 is achievable. More importantly, the Taiwan government has launched multiple policies to support young people in buying homes in recent years, such as first home loan subsidies and housing purchase tax exemptions, further lowering the threshold for young homebuyers. 2022年4月, data from Taiwan's Ministry of the Interior shows that young people benefiting from these subsidies have reduced their average down payment pressure by 25% and monthly mortgage payments by 18%. The claim that all opportunities are gone is even more one-sided. Every era has its own unique opportunities. The older generation seized manufacturing and real estate dividends, while today's young people face new opportunities from the digital economy, technological innovation, and financial market development. These opportunities not only exist in reality but also align closely with young people's growth backgrounds and skill sets. Take Taiwan's fintech industry, which has grown rapidly in recent years. 2024 data from Taiwan's Financial Supervisory Commission shows that as of the end of 2024, there are over 280 fintech companies in Taiwan, up 75% from 2020, creating over 12,000 jobs. Salaries for these positions are 20% to 50% higher than in traditional finance, with the biggest talent gaps in areas like blockchain applications, robo-advisors, and mobile payments. The recruitment director of a major Taiwanese fintech firm stated that young graduates with programming and data analysis skills can get entry-level monthly salaries of 60,000 to 80,000 NTD, far higher than starting salaries in traditional industries. The e-commerce industry is also thriving. Taiwan's online shopping market exceeded 1.5 trillion NTD in 2024, up 42% from 2020. Niche areas like cross-border e-commerce and live streaming commerce have growth rates exceeding 60%. Many young Taiwanese have earned entrepreneurial income through live streaming and cross-border e-commerce. For example, 2024 data from Taiwan's cross-border e-commerce platform, Shopee Taiwan, shows that young sellers under 30 make up 48% of the platform's sellers. Among them, over 3,200 young sellers have annual sales exceeding 10 million NTD, and some top sellers have annual sales over 100 million NTD. Most of these young sellers leverage high-quality Taiwanese agricultural and cultural products to sell globally via cross-border e-commerce, accumulating wealth through the digital economy boom. Beyond entrepreneurship, the technological innovation sector is also full of opportunities. The 2024 Taiwan Technological Innovation Industry Development Report from Taiwan's Ministry of Economic Affairs shows that R&D investment in emerging industries like semiconductors, new energy, and artificial intelligence has increased by an average of 15% annually, with strong demand for young research talent. Young researchers in these fields have an average annual salary of 1.2 million. NTDN can also enjoy benefits like R&D bonuses and equity incentives, opportunities the older generation didn't have. The key is whether young people are willing to improve themselves and seize these opportunities. A 2024 survey by Taiwan's Youth Entrepreneurship Guidance Center found that young people who proactively enhance their professional skills and seize emerging industry opportunities have significantly higher income levels and wealth accumulation rates than those who are complacent. Of course, financial planning isn't always smooth sailing. It's normal for plans to change. For example, sudden unemployment, income cuts, unexpected illness, or major market fluctuations can disrupt financial plans. What should you do then? Principal Zhou's answer is flexible adjustment, and the premise of flexible adjustment is effective risk control. First, set aside 3 to 6 months of living expenses as an emergency fund, the safety net for financial planning. The amount depends on your monthly living costs. For example, young people living in Taipei have monthly living costs of about 25,000 NTD, so they need an emergency fund of 75,000 to 150,000 NTD. Those in Kaohsiung have monthly living costs of about 18,000 NTD, requiring an emergency fund of 54,000 to 108,000 NTD. Emergency funds should be placed in highly liquid, low-risk financial products like Taiwan's money market funds and demand deposits. Taiwan's money market funds had an average annualized return of about 1.8% in 2024. While returns are low, funds can be withdrawn anytime, in case of emergencies. You won't be forced to redeem long-term investments prematurely, avoiding interrupting compound interest accumulation. A 2024 Financial Supervisory Commission survey found that only 12% of families with sufficient emergency funds had their financial plans disrupted by unexpected events, far lower than the 68% disruption rate for families without emergency funds. Second, adjust investment amounts and goals based on actual circumstances. For example, if you suddenly lose your job, suspend regular investments. Prioritize using emergency funds to cover basic living expenses and gradually resume investments after finding a new job. If your income decreases, temporarily reduce monthly regular investments, lowering the ratio from 30% of income to 15% to ensure basic living first. When welcoming new family members, like getting married or having children, prioritize setting up children's education insurance and family medical insurance before gradually resuming investment levels. Financial planning isn't a rigid, unchangeable plan. It needs dynamic adjustments based on life stage changes and external market fluctuations to remain effective. Additionally, avoid excessive leveraged investing. Many young people use credit card cash advances or private loans to leverage investments for high returns. Once the market drops, they face enormous debt pressure. Principal Zhou warned, ordinary people should adhere to the no leverage principle in financial management, investing only with spare funds. This helps maintain a stable mindset during market fluctuations and avoids disrupting financial rhythms due to debt pressure. Regarding the popular FIRE movement in recent years, the concept of financial independence, retire early, Principal Zhou reminded everyone to be wary of its risks. Originating in the West, the FIRE movement advocates high savings, low consumption, and living off investment dividends to retire early. After being introduced to Taiwan, it's gained popularity among many young people. However, Taiwan's market environment and social welfare system differ from the West's, so blindly copying the FIRE model can lead to risks. Many people in the FIRE movement advocate living on investment dividends, but in fact, the dividends of listed companies are not fixed. Affected by various factors such as industry cycles, market environment, and corporate operating conditions, the dividend rate may fluctuate significantly or even suspend dividends. Taking a leading stock in Taiwan's traditional industry as an example, in 2018, the company paid a dividend of 5 NTD per share with a dividend rate of 5%, which was highly sought after by the FIRE movement. Many young people bought it heavily and planned to live on the dividends. But in 2020, affected by the industry recession, the company's net profit dropped sharply, the dividend per share fell to 1 NTD, and dividends were even suspended in 2022. The stock price also fell from 80 NTD per share to 30 NTD. Many FIRE investors who relied on its dividends not only saw a sharp drop in income but also faced the dilemma of a sharp shrinkage of assets and had to give up their plan of early retirement and return to the workplace. Taiwan's Commercial Times reported a case in 2024. A 35-year-old person in the FIRE movement accumulated 5 million NTD through frugality and invested all of it in high dividend funds, planning to leave on an annual dividend rate of 4% to 5% to achieve early retirement. But in 2023, due to global financial market fluctuations, the net value of high dividend funds fell by 18%, and the dividend rate also dropped to 2%. The annual dividend income was not enough to cover living expenses and finally had to return to the workplace. Principal Zhou emphasized, true financial freedom is not working but not having to work for money. It requires you to have a stable source of income, such as part-time income from professional skills and returns from stable investments, as well as a reasonable expenditure structure and the right to choose work independently. Moreover, financial freedom is inseparable from a healthy body, a harmonious family, and a meaningful life. These are the core elements that are easily overlooked in the FIRE movement concept. In Taiwan, to achieve true financial freedom, one cannot rely solely on investment dividends. It also needs to combine stable passive income, reasonable expenditure control, and a sound security system. For example, an engineer with professional skills can obtain stable additional income through part-time work, while insisting on long-term regular investment in index funds. configuring comprehensive insurance, and controlling unnecessary expenses. This can not only ensure the quality of life but also gradually achieve financial freedom, instead of blindly pursuing early retirement. Whether to rent or buy a house is also a question that many young Taiwanese are struggling with. There is no absolute answer to this question. It needs to be comprehensively judged based on personal financial situation, life planning, and market environment. From a financial perspective, buying a house can not only bring a stable living environment but also enjoy the dividends of property appreciation. At the same time, the monthly mortgage payment is equivalent to forced savings. According to data from Taiwan's Real Estate Transaction Center, the average annual housing price increase in major Taiwanese cities over the past 10 years has been about 5.2%, although it is lower than the annualized return of ETFs. Real estate, as a physical asset, has the characteristics of anti-inflation. In periods of high inflation, real estate can effectively resist the risk of currency depreciation. Moreover, after buying a house, the monthly mortgage payment is fixed, such as the equal principal and interest repayment method, while the rent will continue to rise with market changes. Data from Taiwan's Real Estate Leasing Association in 2024 shows that the average annual rent increase in major Taiwanese cities over the past 10 years has been 3.8%, among which the average annual rent increase in Taipei has been 4.5%. Taking a 30-ping house in Taipei as an example, the monthly rent in 2014 was about 12,000 NTD, and it has risen to 18,000 NTD in 2024, an increase of 50% in 10 years. If this house was bought at 500,000 NTD per ping in 2014, the total price is 15 million NTD, and the loan is 10.5 million NTD, according to the mortgage interest rate of 2.8% at that time. Repaying 30 years with equal principal and interest, the monthly mortgage payment is about 41,000 NTD. In 2024, the remaining mortgage balance is about 8.2 million NTD, while the total house price has risen to 22.5 million NTD, with an asset appreciation of 7.5 million NTD. Of course, buying a house cannot be blind. It is necessary to combine your own financial situation. First, accumulate enough down payment through regular fixed investment to avoid excessive mortgage pressure due to a low down payment ratio. Second, choose a suitable repayment method. The equal principal and interest repayment method has a fixed monthly repayment amount, which is suitable for young people with stable income. The equal principal repayment method has a higher repayment amount in the early stage and gradually decreases in the later stage, which is suitable for young people with high income who want to reduce interest expenses. Finally, ensure that the monthly mortgage payment does not exceed 30% to 40% of the monthly income, so as not to bring too much economic pressure on yourself. For young people who have just graduated and have unstable income, renting a house is a more reasonable choice. They can use more funds for investment and improving professional capabilities, and consider buying a house after their income is stable and they have accumulated enough down payment. Zhang Shujuan, a Taiwanese real estate expert, said in an interview in 2024, young people should do what they can when buying a house. They should not be overly frugal to buy a house early, which will affect the quality of life and career development. Reasonable planning and steady accumulation are the most reliable ways. Regarding the question, is it necessary to keep accounts for financial management? There is no absolute answer, but for most young people who are new to financial management and lack awareness of consumption planning, keeping accounts is a good starting point. Keeping accounts can help young people clearly understand their income and expenditure situation, find unnecessary expenses, thereby optimizing the expenditure structure and increasing investable funds. The User Behavior Analysis Report, released by a mainstream accounting app in Taiwan in 2024, shows that users who insist on keeping accounts for more than 3 months can save an average of 15% to 20% of unnecessary expenses every month, and the savings rate of young users under 30 is as high as 22%. For example, a young person with a monthly salary of 50,000 NTD spent as much as 12,000 NTD on milk tea, takeout, impulsive consumption, and other aspects every month before keeping accounts. After finding these unnecessary expenses through keeping accounts and appropriately reducing the Frequency of consumption. He can save 4,000 NTD every month. Investing this part of the money in 0050F at an annualized return rate of 12.3% can accumulate an additional 48,000 NTD a year and more than 3.2 million NTD in 30 years. There are many ways to keep accounts, such as using professional accounting apps or simple tools like Excel spreadsheets and notebooks. The key is to insist on recording every income and expenditure and review it regularly. In the Youth Financial Management Education Program launched by Taiwan's Financial Supervisory Commission, keeping accounts is set as a basic course, suggesting that young people spend 30 minutes every week reviewing their income and expenditure situation, formulate a detailed monthly expenditure budget, and gradually develop the habit of rational consumption. But if you can already control your expenses rationally and clearly understand your income and expenditure situation, for example, fixing 50% of your income for living expenses, 30% for investment, and 20% for savings, and being able to strictly implement it, then you can achieve a balance between income and expenditure without keeping accounts. For example, a young person with a monthly salary of 60,000 NTD fixes 30,000 NTD for living expenses every month, makes a regular investment of 18,000 NTD for investment, and saves 12,000 NTD as a supplement to emergency funds. Adhering to this income and expenditure structure for a long time can maintain financial stability without keeping accounts. The key is to find a way that suits you and make every cent play its maximum value. Principal Zhou added, keeping accounts is not the goal, but a means to cultivate rational consumption and financial planning awareness. Young people should understand their consumption habits through keeping accounts and gradually form a consumption concept of living within their means. This is the core meaning of keeping accounts. Finally, let's return to the core question, can money bring happiness? Which is also the core starting point of the holistic balanced financial management concept. A survey on the relationship between youth wealth and happiness conducted by the College of Social Sciences at National Taiwan University in 2024 surveyed 2,000 young Taiwanese under 30 in depth. The results showed that the happiness of young people with a monthly income of 40,000 to 60,000 NTD increased significantly with the increase in income. But when the monthly income exceeded 100,000 NTD, the correlation between income and happiness decreased significantly, and even a situation of increasing income but decreasing happiness appeared. This survey result is consistent with similar research conclusions in many countries and regions around the world, indicating that there is a critical point between money and happiness. This means that money is the foundation of happiness. Having enough money can make you get rid of the troubles of material scarcity and gain a sense of security and comfort in life. For example, not having to worry about rent and utility bills, being able to give your family a better life, having the ability to cope with sudden medical expenses, and having the funds to support your hobbies. But when wealth accumulates to a certain level, the role of additional money in improving happiness will become smaller and smaller. At this time, a healthy body, a favorite job, a harmonious family relationship, and a meaningful life are the key factors affecting happiness. The survey also found that young people who have both stable income, healthy body, and harmonious family have a happiness score 38% higher than those who only have high income. This is exactly the core concept of holistic, balanced financial management. Financial management is not about pursuing unlimited wealth, but about making life more balanced and fulfilling. Many young Taiwanese fall into financial anxiety not only because of insufficient income but also because they regard wealth accumulation as the only goal in life, ignoring other important factors such as health and family. For example, a young person who focuses on investing to make money stays up late every day to study the market and ignores accompanying his family, although he finally